Hey, the whole trans issue. The whole trans issue. Subversion of culture, society, using homosexuality to do that. I did read somewhere how that's like some type of Jewish communist tactic. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. Woke up this morning. Now, if you go on Twitter, you're gonna see a bunch of bullshit, right? Period. So if there's bullshit going on somewhere, some kind of fight, violence, you're gonna see it. I mean, the news isn't much better, except for they have their filter. They want you to view the world through their lens, So Twitter is kind of like no filter, you're gonna see drag queens, twerking in front of children. You're gonna see children, little girls, and drag queens twerking together. You're gonna see little girls, acting like strippers, taking money from parents who bring their kids to these drag queen shows. So yeah, if you open Twitter, you're gonna see different kinds of bullshit that's probably gonna piss you off. So it's probably not the best idea first thing in the morning. But you can do it, and I did that this morning. I went on Twitter, and there was this was, I don't know if it's in California somewhere, but this mob of trans activists. First of all, there's only male and female. Trans don't exist in nature or in reality. But if you want to live in fantasy land, you can make up anything you want. But anyway, so there's these trans, anti-human, anti-God activists, and they're getting violent. Now, I don't necessarily believe this last shooting in Tennessee was legit, but I haven't looked into it. But when it comes to shootings and these media events, whether you think they're going to benefit your side or my side or their side, you just have to question those. But this was a real mob, however, and they were violent. They were getting violent and acting violent. And I suppose this violence, like the BLM violence or Antifa violence, is fully endorsed and supported by, let's say, Merrick Garland, the Biden regime, the deep state, mainstream media, all that, right? But yeah, they were getting violent, and this girl who was speaking about women's rights, because trans rights are literally attack on women's rights, so you can't have both, basically. So when they're saying trans lives or trans rights are human rights, what they're really saying is they want to stomp on women's rights, right? They want to trample and stomp on your rights. That's what they're really saying. That's a translation. Okay. They're really saying they want to upend society, because that's what they want to do. So in nature, trans don't exist. Now, if you're grown in a pod, you know, you could be asexual, you could be sexless, and you can be a sexless worker, drone or clone. That's all in the realm of possibility, but nature, for the most part, doesn't create, it just creates male and female. Now, I know there's been a lot of fuckery with nature, with GMOs and, you know, glyphosate and atrazine and testosterone levels in America being way, way down. All of these are issues that need to be dealt with, but yeah, anyway, so I woke up and violence. So these people, or whether the students or what, they're resorting to violence because they've realized violence works. Violence works, and we can get away with it. But if you know, if you're on the wrong side of the violence, the Justice Department, they're picking and choosing. If there's violence, they pick and choose who gets to do the violence, who shouldn't be doing the violence, who's going to be prosecuted for doing violence, and who's going to, you know, be let go. So those are the issues, you know. So violence is okay if it's an equal playing field. You can just have your little trannies versus normies violent conflict. Let's see who wins, you know. But if you're only going to go after the people you decide, which would be the non-trannies or the non-BLM or the non-Antifa, right? The Justice Department itself is an issue. And you know, I saw this the other day in Canada, I think it was, where this guy holding a sign got assaulted by these, I don't know who they were, men or women, trannies, men in drag. But he was assaulted and the cops did nothing. These two female police officers, speaking of that, they did nothing. They actually said it was his fault, that he initiated the violence by standing there. So the issue that needs to be dealt with, maybe before the violence issue or with the violence issue, the trannies getting violent, is the justice system, you know, that's been basically biased noticeably, very noticeably since, you know, the Trump was in, you know. You started noticing, you know, some of these rallies, they would go after right-wing people and leave, you know, Antifa throwing piss and all this other crap. Leave them alone. For the most part. I'm not saying no Antifa got arrested, but I'm saying especially in the media, it's very biased. It's one-sided. So yeah, that's interesting to notice these people who want to basically go against nature and God. They want to eliminate women, cancel women's sports. You know, I saw this, a female, biological female being beat to a pulp by a biological male who calls herself a female, calls himself a female, whether they had their dick cut off or not. But that was it's sad, you know, it's sad. You shouldn't participate. If it's a guy, you know, that calls himself a girl, don't participate. You know, if he has the wrong, you know, chromosomes, just say, you know what, I can't get in the ring with this person because I might get hurt very bad, you know. So you gotta just know when to hold them, kinda. Continue this here in a second. violence. Another thing is kids, you know. So you have parents, maybe they're homosexual, maybe they're satanic. You have parents who are wanting to abuse children also in America. And there, you know, the whole point of a lot of this is to make it legal, make it okay. So, you know, Obama number 2, who's in office now, he put all these cross-dressers in office who are going to support this homosexual, anti-nature, anti-God agenda. And I know, you know, I was listening to some podcasts last night, and a lot of people say it's God, or it's religion, or it's this. Well, I don't think so, because, you know, even the pagans, I mean, pagans are supposed to be pro-nature, you know, pagans are about nature, so it is kind of puzzling to see or understand why a pagan would be on board with any of that, or even a witch or whatever, because, you know, good or evil, I mean, nature is nature, and you have to, these are just laws, you know, we're all nature. So going against nature itself, I think, you know, that's something for Bill Gates to do in his wheelhouse, and, you know, Anthony Fauci, who invented AIDS, literally fabricated AIDS and HIV. HIV doesn't cause AIDS. AIDS itself's never been isolated. It's all bullshit, basically. But yeah, to go against nature, biology, that's kind of what that's the track America is on politically in DC for whatever reason. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm for violence and force if it's to protect children, you know. But we live in an area where some states and some political people want to protect children and know what that means, and others, like Gavin Newsom, he really is standing for abortion rights. I don't know, late-term abortion. So all states do not have the same viewpoint. California is one where we have a leader who is very pro-abortion, and he's anti-business because, you know, I believe just pro-taxes. You know, he ran out Toyota, he ran out Tesla, having nothing to do with politics or transgender or abortion, just taxes. So Gavin Newsom, I think he's wanting to run out Walgreens now because they just want to abide by the law and say, look, we're not going to provide this pill that will, you know, kill the baby in the womb, basically, with the poison it, suffocate it, starve it. So So, people who are pro-abortion, or let's say people who are pro-trans are definitely going to be pro-abortion also. All these types, they run together in the same thread. Like birds of a feather, and normally you don't see Christians doing this. Now, I have seen a lot of rainbow flags on churches, and everybody's welcome, and they pander to that. They don't, imagine doing that, saying that about pedophiles. Everybody's welcome, pedophiles welcome. Why would you want to cater specifically to homosexuals? Why would you put a rainbow flag on your church? I saw this when I was in Virginia. I've seen it in California, and I just have questions about that, Do you think that's virtuous? Like, men being with men and women being with women is virtuous, and that you want to put that on your church sign? Put a rainbow on your church sign? So, where was I? Yeah, the war is on, so it's not about... So, yeah, Biden's cabinet is packed with trannies, homosexuals, purposely. It's not by chance. It's on purpose. And they want to allow child abuse. They want to allow parents to abuse children. Because making a huge change like that in an impressionable child, or adult for that matter, but a child is innocent and impressionable, and I'm against that for adults also, but that's abuse, How can anybody question if that's abuse or not? How could there be a question about that? So this is the direction America's going. I don't see China going that direction. I don't see Russia going that direction. I'm not sure if America's trying to lead the way straight down. So apart from having trannies and homosexuals, they want to ruin everything. They don't. It's not just nature they're against. It's everything. The dollar, energy, oil. It's really everything that they want to fuck up. And that's the theme. That's the theme. It's destruction. It's destructive.